sir, we're at the top of the mountain right in the Adirondack. We are like 70-something miles per hour wind gusts right now. But I want to thank you for the top of the mountain.
Hey guys, Kickreap here, and welcome to our first ever overnight adventure on this channel. If you're new to the channel and you don't know me, the quick and dirty of it is, I'm just some gear nerd that really likes to use military surplus for all of my 4th season extreme sports activities. And specifically, the PCU cold weather layering system used by US Special Forces in the early 2000s. And here we're in the beautiful Adirondack region in upstate New York. It's hard to believe this is the same state as this. It's incredible how New York simultaneously contains one of my most favorite and least favorite places I've ever been to. New York truly is something. So the goal of this adventure is not just survival. This is not a surplus bushcrafting video. There are plenty of those on YouTube. Me and my friends are just going to be using cheap gear to get ourselves through the night and ascend a mountain in the morning as efficiently and safely as possible. There are 46 peaks in the region that are over 4,000 feet in elevation, and our plan is to summit the 16th tallest, which is Wright Peak. Although a challenging route, it's not nearly as intense as something like Mount Washington, which is exactly why we chose this one. My two buddies who I brought along were not here as cameramen. They were here to try out all their new technical cold weather gear and listen to me mansplain to them how to properly use it for the next 24-ish hours. Mount Washington is a goal for us later in the season, but I think that Mount Washington's not the best place to use crampons for the first time. And hopefully, by the end of this, they will have a much better idea of how they can better dial in their systems for themselves. I wanted to make sure that they made all of their mistakes now instead of on a much more serious endeavor. And for me, I'll be testing out a few new pieces of kit that I've yet to use. So our plan is to go on a short hike up a small mountain near our campsite before bed. This would be a good warm-up so we could stretch our legs after the long car ride, acclimatize, and get them some hang time on their new microspikes. There was a secret secondary purpose, and that was to get everyone really sweaty before bed. This way we'd get experience with drying ourselves and our equipment out overnight. We would then hopefully wake up with all 10 fingers and toes, drinking water that hadn't frozen overnight, and then start our ascent early in the morning. We arrived at our campsite just before sundown. We rented out a lean-to because that's just kind of what you do in the Adirondacks. The lean-tos are everywhere, they're extremely well built, and there's not a whole lot of reason not to. Now again, this is not some Bear Grylls survival video. Our main goal was to summit a mountain in the morning, and sleeping overnight on the mountain was just a means to our end. And all of our experience from this adventure just gets us that much closer to being able to do a multi-day ascent of a mountain. So here we're just setting up camp so that when we come back from our first hike, everything will be all ready to go, that we don't have to set up in the dark because that's always a pain. So the other purpose of this is to make sure that we give our sleeping bags time to loft up after being compressed inside of our packs, and we also have one self-inflating sleeping pad that needs time to fill itself up.
All right, here we've got the USMC 3-season bag and intermediate cold weather bag paired with the most excellent surplus bivvy I've used. Over here we have my new Wild Things half sack, which is an elephant's foot sleeping bag inside of the MSS. I brought an MSS intermediate cold weather bag just in case I freeze, and then my other buddy has the full MSS system. So 3 different sleep systems, 3 different body types. We will see how this goes. But first, do some climbing.
So here we're just getting ready for our first little hike. One thing I do want to point out is the fact that I did not wear the socks or boots that I intended to climb in on the car ride up. When you're in the car, you're probably blasting the heat because it's cold, and when you do that, you are going to start to sweat, even just a little bit. Now with your clothes, it's not as big of an issue, but inside of your big thick socks, inside of your big insulated Gore-Tex boots, you want to just make sure that there is as little moisture in there as possible. And in my case, I made sure that there was 0. So I wore my warm and comfy Air Force mucklucks on the way up with some lightweight wool socks. And then when I got to the site, I swapped into my heavier weight socks and my mountaineering boots. An alternative solution is to just not put on the heat at all. In fact, just roll down the windows. Be a man. So here I'm throwing on my alpaca wool socks because I found that alpaca wool is just crazy nice. And I'm also rocking the Bates Tora Bora mountaineering boots. These are actually surplus boots. They are semi-flexible, so they're not totally rigid like an ice climbing boot, but they're very comfortable and very warm. This mountain is called Mount Joe. It's this cute little mountain right next to our campsite. But what made it attractive to me was the fact that not only was it a short hike just to get us warmed up, but it also had a 40-degree incline on one side. So I thought that would be a great chance to demonstrate the use of an ice axe as well as flat footing with crampons. Overall, it was just a fun short hike. There were some really icy parts, but that was great just to get some practice in. The only issue was there were some parts where the ice was covered by a little bit of powder, so I did end up eating it at one point, but that was after the sun went down and didn't have my GoPro to record it. I would have shown you, but it doesn't exist, sadly. Now, I've been talking a lot, so I think I'll just kind of let past Kit Creep take over from here and enjoy the sounds of snow and ice.
I'll be honest, I've never used actual micro spikes before. That's pretty cool.
You can do a lot of the mountain with just your micro spikes on.
Yeah.
Still good to have. Pull mine out. It's better to pull it out sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? You should have them staged so they come out pretty quickly.
Sweet.
No, that's still just the side of your foot, flat foot. You want
I think it looks like it's a lot windier than it is.
going. There you fucking go. Go. Make a step for yourself, and also don't put that shit in the fucking rock. It's not gonna help.
Not much ice left.
Every tooth is. There you go.
Just gotta pull yourself up. Don't step on the glove.
Yeah, that's why we have wrist straps. All right, here we are, top of Mount Joe. The sun has been down for like 30 minutes, but still want to get my buddies some hang time on their new equipment.
That was 36-minute climb, 3/4 of a mile, 650 feet up, and it's 5:32.
Hell yeah. On the road again.
Part of the crew that summited Everest for the first time.
Yes, it is. It's gonna catch mood.
Bring more small wood. And start preheating it.
So this adventure is actually brought to us by Venture Surplus. They were kind enough to send out a ton of really awesome cold weather stuff. I got enough to go around, so everyone's using something from Venture Surplus. Cameraman's wearing some really nice Air Force mittens. But right now, what we're using are some MREs, and not cold weather MREs. These are actually just standard MRE Entrees that you can get at Venture Surplus. You can just get only the entree. What's nice about these is if you fold them and they freeze like this, well, if you want to reheat them back up, all you have to do is just take them, throw them into your little cook stove, and then we can throw it out in the water with some hot water in there, and then we can just get her nice and warmed up. And something that's going to make this exponentially faster is going to be a little windscreen over the top. We had to improvise because it's just not big enough. And there you go. So you can actually use normal wet MREs in the winter. You just got to be able to make sure that it actually fits inside of your cook stove to reheat it. But what's nice about this is that you just need to reheat it eat it, and then that hot water you can use for a hot water bottle. Oh, I just keep getting smoked out. Yeah, so that hot water that you used in there to heat it up, you can just go ahead and use that for anything else, like a hot water bottle, coffee, hot chocolate, whatever you got going on, or add it to your buddy's mountain house. So that's a nice little tip. GoPro's charging. According to my little thermometer here, it is 21 degrees, which ain't too bad. The minimum was 16. I think that fire is reflecting a little bit of heat in here, so that's honestly pretty awesome.
Moment.
You really sleepy?
I'm just trying to get the fucking sleep because we're already like
Brought to you by Venture Surplus.
we're already like fucking done with cooking, done with everything. I'm just like, get the fuck to sleep and let's wake up tomorrow.
Hello, MTV, and welcome to my crib. Sorry. All right, so it is bedtime, and we are going to start getting all cozy up in our sleeping bags. Character over here, it's already all nice and cozy in his full MSS. He has the both the bivy, which you can see, but then he also has both the patrol bag and the intermediate bag. So he's really nice and warm, no complaints there. So that's kind of going to be our baseline here, because we know that this is tried and true. Over here, my cameraman, he is rocking the full USMC, both the 3-season bag, the cold weather black bag, as well as the bivy. And so I'm not too worried about him. I'm sure he's gonna have a really good night. But for me, I am going to actually be testing a really weird item that I found. See if you can get a good shot of that. So this is the Wild Things half sack. So I don't have any information on this thing. I saw it on eBay in brand new condition, and Wild Things, of course, makes a lot of stuff for the military. They make the Equix level 7s, and they make some of those. So this thing is using Epic shell fabric, and then it also has Primaloft insulation, but I have no idea how warm this thing is or what it's rated for. I couldn't find any info on it. I went on Wild Things website, so maybe this is something that they are testing, because I know that the CTAP system is currently being tested. So tonight I am going to see how well it does in about 28 degrees. Might get a little bit colder in the morning. I'll let you guys know how cold it got down to. But so basically I'm just going to be sleeping in this thing with my standard sleep setup. So I'm going to get changed into that right now. Of course, this thing is a half sack, so it's only going to go up to about my chest. So I'm basically going to be relying on my cold weather layers.
All right, so I'm just going to narrate this next part because my buddy in the sleeping bag was snoring so loud, and I tried so hard to edit it out, but to no avail. So first we got to start adding on the mid layers, so the level 7 has to come off. I'm now just stripped down to my Block 0 level 1 base layers and my level 5 soft shells, both of which are wet because I'd just been hiking in them, so we're going to have to cook those dry overnight. I did bring my level 2 waffle top and bottoms. I just chose not to wear them to bed. I just wanted to see how I would do just throwing everything over top of my quote-unquote action suit. And here we see that I'm throwing my fleece lined soft shell hiking gloves in my level 5. The idea here is that they're going to be buried under all of my layers, and I won't have access to them until I take all of them off the next morning when I hike again, and by then they should be nice and dry. Next up, I'm throwing on my Block 0 fleece from Orc Industries. Fleeces are actually such a great thing to have inside of your system, especially if you plan on resting overnight. They're super warm, and they're also not very restrictive. So if you're literally wearing like 7 nylon layers on top of each other, it can kind of start to get like a straitjacket effect, but the fleeces are just so stretchy that they're able to reduce that a lot. And also, if you're only relying on puffy layers when you're going to sleep, of course, when you compress those layers of lofted material, it reduces the warmth. And having a fleece, which is a more robust insulating layer, it helps out a lot, especially when you're laying on the ground. What we have here is the half sack from Wild Things. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is just a really weird thing that I just found floating around on eBay. And what's really neat about it is it has a big pocket on the front, so I'm able to stash things in there, like anything that I'm going to wear to bed, like the socks that I'm going to wear to sleep, a repair kit for the bag, like tenacious tape, my pillow, and also my sleeping mask. And then stashed inside of the bag itself are my USMC Happy Booties. They're just military issue tent socks, but they're actually really nice, really warm, and they have wool insoles in them, so they're great for walking around in the snow. The tag on the sleeping bag just says Navy half-sack T/P, so maybe it's a trials prototype kind of thing. I don't know. But it uses Epic fabric and then Primaloft insulation, just like the PCU and Equix level 7s, which is really cool. And who knows, maybe the elephant's foot is making a comeback.
Yeah, I got some exclusive content here for you guys. Yeah, look at my foot steaming. So my socks are definitely wet, so those are gonna have to go with me inside my sleeping bag, and that way I will have hopefully less wet socks in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear him snoring in the background, but it is just ruthless. So here I'm just throwing on some big thick wool socks I got from Walmart, and then the Piccolo booties go right on over top, and they're gonna keep my feet nice and warm all night. So now it's time to start throwing on the rest of the level 7 Happy suit. So here we have the Block 1 Haley's bottoms. They've got suspenders on them, which is great because it means when I'm laying down in the sleeping bag, they'll stay in place and won't just start working their way down my body. And then this, combined with tucking my fleece into the pants themselves, is going to make sure that there's no gaps in my insulation, eliminating annoying cold spots that could wake me up in the middle of the night. So next up is the level 7 Alpha vest. The vest is kind of something that I'm trying to integrate into my system a little bit more, so I think this is why I decided to forego the level 2 waffle top and bottoms. The vest can be layered over top and it adds a lot of insulation. Vests aren't just a great active mid-layer, they're also great for just generally increasing the warmth of your belay jacket. It just adds a lot more insulation to your core, and they're great. And then, of course, to top it all off, we've got the level 7 Type 1 from Haley's. This thing is super warm. It's great for just hanging around camp, and it's also great to go to sleep in. And the best part is that it has 4 gigantic pockets on the inside and on the outside. So anything that I don't want to freeze or anything that I want to cook dry can go inside of those pockets. So as you can see, a lot of the insulation that I'm wearing is up on top. My legs really only just have my lightweight base layers, my soft shells that I hiked in, and then the level 7 pants. And then my core now has the level 1 base layer, my level 5 soft shell, my level 3 fleece, my level 7 alpha vest, and my level 7 Type 1 jacket. Whew, it's a mouthful. So the philosophy here is that the half sack is going to just add more insulation to my lower half that has less layers on it. And then all of the layers working together on my torso should keep me warm up top, therefore not needing a whole mummy bag. But I actually ended up waking up a little cold in the middle of the night, so I did break out the intermediate cold weather bag from the MSS, but it actually worked out really well because the half sack kept my lower half a little bit warmer, and then the mummy bag in general just kept me a little warmer. But instead of carrying around 2 whole mummy bags, instead I carried half a sleeping bag and then just 1 whole mummy bag. And I think he just stopped snoring, so now's our chance.
So, of course, I'm wearing a lot here, so there is always the risk that I actually might be wearing too much. But the thing is, I don't really know. I have not slept outside in this specific temperature with this specific sleep system. I have not used this half sack yet, so I just want to make sure that I make it through the night all nice and cozy. So in the event that I do actually start to heat up and I'm too warm inside the sleeping bag, of course I could get out and start taking off some layers. But a really neat little thing that you can do, especially with these full side zip level 7 layers, is I can actually use the full side zip as a pseudo vent. And then I can also, it doubles as access to my undergarments. So if I need to get something out of my pockets from my shell, it's not like, oh, I just threw on my 7s, you know, I can't do anything about that. Well, I can still get down in there, get to some little glove liners when I start to throw on my mittens and stuff like that. The other thing, of course, is that I can start to open up my level 7 a little bit. If I want to open it up a little bit at the bottom, or if I want to unzip it here at the top, I can start to just dump some heat if I really need to, if I'm just way too warm inside of that thing. Because the last thing that I want is for the layers that I'm wearing underneath of this to be soaking wet. So when I strip this off and I start hiking and climbing in the morning, I'm going to start off soaking wet, and it's going to require a lot of time and energy to start to cook those off. So I want to make sure that when I wake up, I'm drier than I was the night before, or at least just not wetter. So one of the biggest benefits of the level 7 top and bottoms, when nature does call, once you get out of your sleeping bag, instead of leaving the nice, beautiful warmth of that sleeping bag behind, you just carry it with you with your full level 7 top and bottoms. So definitely a good choice. So the most important part of my sleep system, well, one of the most important parts is going to be my actual sleeping pad. Now, of course, we are in a lean-to right now, which is always great because that's going to get us off the ground, but it still wouldn't be wise to just sleep right on top of this. So of course here, putting a physical barrier between me and the ground, I have a folding foam pad. These things are great because not only do they insulate, but they also protect your blow-up mattress from getting holes in them, because I'm sure there's some nice nails all over this thing ready to just put a hole in my sleeping pad. So this is the X-Bed Winterlight sleeping pad. I think these things got discontinued, but I was able to find a couple of them on eBay pretty cheap. So these are actually an insulated sleeping pad. They do have a little bit of synthetic insulation inside of there, so a little bit of synthetic loft. So I've got one right here. This is the MW, which is the bigger version for me because I'm a big boy. And then my buddy here, I got him the size regular for Christmas, and it looks like he's doing just fine combined with his USMC folding Z-Rest. He's knocked out, so obviously he's got his shit dialed in, and he's nice and cozy. So you don't want to blow into the sleeping pad. As you can see, there's a lot of steam coming out of my mouth, and that is from moisture. And so when you blow that moisture into your sleeping pad, that can reduce the insulation value. So instead of doing that, what we will do is we will take my pack liner, which is the X-Ped schnozzle, take all of the contents out, and then we will use this as a pump bag. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this guy up, try to get some air inside of there, and then I'm just gonna keep rolling it up and pumping up my mattress. So the next thing I'm going to do, just so that, just to make it easier, so that when I'm sleeping I don't roll off of my sleep pad, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the pad inside of my bivy, less things to start sliding on top of each other. And then, of course, I've got my half sack, and I'm going to crawl inside of here, get all nice and cozy, throw on my Firebrand mittens, and then I should be good for the night. And if my face starts getting really cold, because you should not be shoving your face inside of your sleeping bag, because again, the condensation and moisture from your breath is bad, well, then I'll probably throw this spooky looking thing on there, and that'll keep my face nice and warm. So that is day one of our fun little Adirondacks adventure, and I will see you guys in the morning. Hopefully no one freezes to death tonight.
Good morning, guys. So, we made it through the night. The wind just started blowing snow directly into the lean-to, so a lot of our shit's covered in snow, so that's fun. I don't know if you can see me, but I slept pretty good. How'd you sleep? How was the USMC sleep system?
Yeah, I gotta say at first, I was a little nervous. I didn't have the body heat generated to really warm up the bag, but once I actually managed to fall asleep, it retained that heat extremely well all the way through morning. Even with those wind gusts, there really didn't seem to be too much of a weak spot in it. It maintained its warmth everywhere except for obviously up around where the zippers were open for my upper body.
Glad it worked out for you. Yeah, that thing, when you lay right with it, it says you can get down to -13.
You just take that whole brick out.
Hey, so what's wrong with your wet wipes?
I think they're gonna hurt.
What's those? Yeah, that's not really a wipe, it's more of a chisel. Our stuff is just absolutely covered in snow. Boots are filled with snow, so that's fun. Probably should have protected them a little bit better. I guess we had a false sense of security in here. The bottom of my bivvy, it's all nice and covered in snow, but not really a big issue. So I went to bed just using the half sack, and it was really awesome at first. But then at some point, I think around like 2:30 a.m., I started to notice that I was just like, my upper body was just pretty cold. So I broke out the intermediate cold weather bag from the MSS, and I buttoned that into my bivvy. And then I still, put my lower half into the half sack, threw that inside of the intermediate cold weather bag, and I was fine the whole rest of the night. I didn't feel cold at all. Didn't even wear my mittens for a while, but I did have to break out my mittens, close to sunrise at the coldest part of the night. I definitely like the half sack because instead of carrying 2 mummy bags and a bivvy, instead I just have to carry a half sack and then the one intermediate cold weather mummy bag and a bivvy. Pillow sucks. These climate pillows just absolutely suck. They are not big enough. But yeah, my pad system, the Exped Winter Light combined with the foam pad is great. Yeah, even getting covered in snow looks like our fire. The coals made it through the night, so we're just gonna warm up here. All right, so this is a pretty cool development. So my MREs that I had in my bag, so this is the one that I had last night. The other 2 are not frozen solid. So that's pretty cool. They were just sitting inside of my pack. I didn't even sleep with them. I think it said the lowest it got to during the night was 21, but that was inside of the lean-to. I saw before, as we were hiking in, it said 16. So maybe it was a little warm in the lean-to. But yeah, these things did not freeze. So I'm just gonna do what I did yesterday, and I think I'll do beef stew. So get your MRE Entrees at adventuresurplus.com. Approved for at least tonight. All right, so confirmed with this little windscreen in the right position. Yeah, even this like almost empty fuel can, which is just gas, it's not liquid fuel, was actually able to boil water pretty darn fast for our mountain house over here. So I'm gonna use the rest of that water and heat for my little MRE. Probably even get away with putting you in like that. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And then start back up. All right, good morning. We are making our initial ascent. We just stepped off and we're on our way. Got a little bit of powder last night, but not too much. They said anything 8 inches or more, we need snowshoes. But this here doesn't really look like it solicits snowshoes. But yeah, it's just micro spikes for us. If it does start to get deeper and we start post hauling, we will swap to our snowshoes. So down at the bottom, we were debating what would be the right amount of insulation to step off with. We were questioning whether we should even pack level 2 waffle tops. But personally, I think just stepping off with our lightweight base layers was the way to go. We always want to be comfortable, so we want to start throwing our insulation layers sooner rather than later, but not always a good idea. How about you, Smokey? You wearing what are you wearing for base layers?
I'm wearing the waffle top again, but we're moving slow enough so I'm not drenched like last time.
So he is wearing his level 2 waffle. I know he runs pretty cold. He likes wearing the waffle top most of the time, so it works for him. Doesn't work for me. I'm already sweating in my level 1. All right, so we're at mile 1 of 10, so making pretty good progress. So what do you got there?
Algene canteen water bottle.
Nice. How are you keeping that warm?
Here.
Yeah, just using your body heat.
Yeah, between the jiggling around and body heat, it's been liquid pretty much since yesterday.
Yep, the level 5, best part about having a shell like this that has these big long zippers here. It's not just good for throwing your skins in there, but big old water bottles.
Here you need warm in there. And
but yeah, I threw my Fleeceline soft shell gloves. They were pretty wet yesterday. Threw them in my in my chest pockets last night while I was sleeping, and when I pulled them out this morning, they were bone dry. So cooking stuff dry, absolutely the best way to go. So we're gonna start taking out our poles, and
It's looking like this is starting to get vertical.
getting a little more technical.
Just slightly. It's not going to be as but it'll be a decent trail either way.
Alright.
Show us that footwork.
Alright. That's manageable.
Flat foot, flat feet.
I know. The thing is, I just want to look that way.
Yep, and you put those poles behind you to like kind of like help you up.
I wish I had claws in my hands.
Yeah, this is definitely. It's not too bad. Full crampon territory, but as long as these sharks don't bite. Yeah, it's blinking now.
Cool. So what are you doing right now, buddy?
Taking it off level 2, got too hot.
Got too hot in the waffle fleece? Happens. But yeah, that's all liquid in there. Your body heat's definitely keeping that warm. Kind of like the level 7 type 2 philosophy. There you go. Ooh, pretty.
No need to rush if I'm following you, so I won't keep up.
Really not there.
All right. Uh-oh, someone's getting feisty. He used the word fuck.
Yo, honestly, grab my ice axe. Just slipping a lot.
Let's give her a pause. I need more shit up.
So here we're about to pop up above the tree line, so the wind is really starting to hit us hard now that the trees aren't there to protect us. So with that wind chill effect, it brought the temperatures down from about 20 degrees Fahrenheit to about -3. So at this point, we all decide to put on some warmer layers. I threw on my level 7 vest because it's just a great active mid layer. My buddy who had earlier taken off his level 2 waffle top put it back on. And my other buddy, he threw on his level 7 because he did not have a mid layer, and that was the only warming layer that he took with him. So he had to unzip it from the bottom, try to vent some heat, but he did overheat it a little bit.
Before we
Hi, Buppy.
because it was a little bit dangerous.
Dangerous, really.
Yeah, really.
So if you can hear this Frenchman, he's telling us that it's dangerous at the top, and there was a bunch of people that were coming down who couldn't make it because the winds were too high and it was too icy. So I was swapping into my crampons because it's always good to swap into them sooner rather than later. So both my buddies decided that they would be just fine sticking with their microspikes because everyone that was passing us on the way down was only wearing microspikes. You know, the same people that were warning us about how dangerous it was and how they couldn't make it to the summit. And immediately after stepping off again, we ran into a big wall of ice that they were slipping and sliding all over in their microspikes, and I got up with my crampons just fine. But this isn't about being right or wrong. This is about making decisions before they become a problem. So the moral is, swap into your crampons, pull out your ice axe, sooner rather than later.
Single axe climbing.
Yeah. Watch this be the only chunked up. Count. The only chunked up.
Make it count.
Yeah, that's really easy to get up, guys.
I got a great pano, and then I zoom back, and then you're on the ground.
So my C2 crampons weren't just good for the few sections of vertical ice, but they also did a much better job in this powder that we're seeing here. As it got more vertical, my C2 crampons were doing a much better job of keeping me stable, whereas my friend's microspikes were just not giving them enough traction, and they were just slipping and sliding all over the place.
Honestly, just keep going. I gotta get my fucking gloves out. My hands are fucking numb.
So I ran into a slightly unfortunate scenario here where as I was going up, I continued with my lightweight gloves, and with those winds, it was really just destroying my hands, and they were totally numb and pretty painful. So what happened is I typically carry my belay gloves inside of my belay jacket, and then I have another set of warmer gloves staged inside of my pack that are readily accessible. The issue was that one of my buddies only came with a pair of mechanics gloves and a pair of mittens, so he didn't have anything in between those two.
My left middle finger hurts so bad.
So I gave him those quick access heavyweight gloves, which meant that I had to dig into my pack, into my level 7, in order to get my warmer gloves. So that was just time consuming, and it took a while before my hands warmed back up. So the moral of this story is, the more gloves the merrier, not just for yourself, but also to make sure that your friends leave with all 10 fingers.
This is so beautiful, it hurts. Literally.
I got a little panorama.
God, dude. So goddamn cool looking. Holy shit.
That is Algonquin Point, right over there.
All right.
We still go up that way.
And this brings us back to the beginning, where the audio cut out and all of our recording equipment died. GoPros and phones just got torched by the winds. Those 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts were just insane. It made it hard to do just about anything at the summit. And on top of that, the summit was just exposed rock. There wasn't a ton of ice or snow covering it, so that made it really tough with the crampons. So that, combined with the wind, made every little step that much more difficult and required a lot of thinking and timing with every move that we made. So it was still cool though.
We just got down from the summit. There were some like 70-something mile-per-hour wind gusts, and it was pretty impossible to get any filming done because all of our batteries were dead. I don't even think this is recording right now, actually.
Yeah, it says 0.
Yeah, but
We were thriving.
yep. So, but it was a great time. Had fun, and we're on our way back down now. And hopefully, if this is recording, we'll see you down at the bottom. Peace.
So that just about does it for this adventure. So we went down the same way we came up, so nothing you haven't seen before. But my friends did learn that it's even harder to descend, not wearing the right equipment, than it is to ascend. And you'll see that here in a second. But overall, this was a super fun adventure. I had a great time, so did my buddies. It's always nice going with a bigger group. I think that this was a great primer for my friends. You know, we learned best from our mistakes, and we had a lot to take away from this adventure. Everyone walked away with 10 fingers and toes, no injuries, and we're excited for the next one. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It was really cool doing this more vlog style of video. Kind of felt like I got to take you guys along for the ride. And thank you guys for 20,000 subscribers. I mean, that is just insane. So thank you for all your support. It really helps me be able to do these things. And thank you to Venture Surplus. And thank you to Venture Surplus again for sending out some cool gear and giving us a discount code. That is just for you guys to get some cheap gear and get out there and have fun with your friends. So thank you guys again, and I will see you next time.